Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am potentially dealing with having to replace a transmission, and that's not good. Anytime they say, oh, it's the transmission, watch out. Woo! It makes me sick to my stomach when I hear the word transmission from a car place. All right, link to Canada's largest university, University of Toronto, plans to operate an XRP validator in new partnership with Link2 portfolio company Ripple. The move is part of Ripple's University Blockchain Research Initiative. So they're going to be running a node at University of Toronto, and that is interesting. By the way, tomorrow's the Hinman emails, and Link2 does have Ripple private equity on the platform. Things could get interesting really quickly, folks. Links in the top of the description. Tell them DAI sent you. Then listen to this. Digital Perspectives put out quite an interesting clip. This guy is a TA guy. Listen to what he says in this clip.
This is the first time we've captured it since we had the explosive move in 2021, which took us up to around $2. And one thing I'm really, really bullish about here is the MACD. If we get a green candle close this month, which obviously is still like 18 days left, it will be the third time in history that the MACD on XRP has crossed bullish. The first time it happened, we had a 73,000% move. The second time it happened, we had a 700% move. So anyone's guess as to what can happen now, but we're starting from a higher price point here as well, which is something to take into consideration. So you're putting those percentages on top of 50 cent rather than like 18 where we were, or 22 where we were in the 2020, 2021 area when that happened. And then the final point to do with this is XRP versus Ethereum. People talk about market cap a lot in crypto. I personally believe that it's not that accurate. Market cap just being price times circulating supply. It's not that accurate because there's not enough liquidity in markets to sell everything at the same price or buy everything at the same price. You start buying, the price goes up. You start selling, the price comes down. But in the 2017 bull cycle, 2017, 2018, XRP actually engulfed Ethereum's market cap twice, meaning that it became the second crypto on the list of cryptocurrencies out there. So if we did that again, we could be looking at like a 1,000% gain for XRP if we're looking at the top sort of prices here. So my final price target for XRP specifically, if we use something called a Fibonacci retracement, which actually lines up with the Ethereum market cap, etc., if you go back to when we were bullish in the cycles, is around $12 to $15 for XRP in this immediate cycle. Obviously, we could blow past that if we do something similar to what we did.
$12 to $15, I will take it all day long. That would be interesting. Now, this is the CEO of the outgoing CEO of PayPal. Listen to what he says here.
Most people really misunderstand crypto or don't understand it well because it's very nuanced. And there are really four separate things that people conflate together that are completely separate. You know, first there's like cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether and, you know, all the silly ones that are out there as well, but not the ones that like Dogecoin and others. Those are really not currencies. They are speculative assets that
he's telling you they're all bull crap.
Can buy, hold, and sell, but they aren't used for currency. They're too volatile. They're not stable enough to be really a currency. And very few merchants, if any, accept them. And we ought to regulate that as kind of more risky types of trading. I think when you talk to central bankers around the world and the Fed and other
50 plus of which are working with Ripple
here in the US, people agree that there needs to be an upgrading of the system. How that happens, does it happen through stable coins, you know, which are privately issued? Does it happen through CBDCs, which are central bank issued digital currencies? And there are all sorts of forms of that. This is all going to happen. People are experimenting with it anyway. 80% of the central banks are.
All right, that, my friends, is what you call an adult in the room talking, and he says point blank, speculative cryptos, Bitcoin, dog, ETH. It's not that. Never was. Now, we showed you how Bill Hinman was at this thing. He was at this panel this weekend, and it was called the Crypto Crash of 2022. But what I wanted to draw to your attention here is some of the people that were there. First of all, this Tim Masad, I want to say that that's the same guy that was like ex-SEC, who was isn't that the same guy that was the only guy that was in front of Congress not too long ago that said we didn't need regulation? I think it was. But let's go on. I want to show you some other people. First of all, because this is all red flag city for me. It might even go in the All the World's a Stage file. U.S. Congressman Patrick McHenry, who I consider to be one of the good guys, is the keynote speaker at this roundtable with Bill Hinman. Then look at the other people that were there. Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss from Gemini. Chris Giancarlo was there holding in a panel. Perry Ann Boring was there. Let's see if I see anybody else. There's somebody there from Kraken. Then this is the one that Bill Hinman was in. See if there's anybody else that I recognize. Tom Jessup, the head of Fidelity Digital Assets. There's Heath Tarbert right there, who's ex-CFTC. He's the guy that just joined Circle. A lot of these people run in the same circles, don't they? Then we've got this scoop. Cardano builder Charles Hoskinson, Input Output, which is what he runs, I guess, has laid off some of its staff as it restructures. Things are getting interesting. Then this morning, Mark Phillips, who did write the famous or infamous article about how XRP was designed for $10,000, I could get in trouble just for saying that out loud. The crypto police could show up in my comment section just because I said that. The risk that I just took is extreme. But Mark Phillips did write it. He's a good guy. I met him in DC at a Link2 event. JP Morgan to pay $290 million to settle the you-know-who accuser's suit. That's not the only suit. There are other suits. But they just pay a settlement and go on. That's how it works for these guys. Remember, Gary Gensler would not settle with Ripple. In fact, if you remember, Jay Clayton wanted to settle with Ripple before this lawsuit was ever filed, and Bill Hinman came back after he left the SEC. He came back to make sure the lawsuit was filed. Those options are, JP Morgan, they can always settle. Those options are not open if you're a startup out of Silicon Valley. Now, John Deaton decided he was going to do an interesting tweet because I didn't realize this, but here he is. I'm waiting on a judge to arrive, and I'm thinking about the big show Wednesday at Crypto Law. It's not just the Hinman emails being unsealed, but everything. I didn't know that. Why do you think the SEC and Ripple agreed to a week extension? Tens of thousands of pages to go through. I predicted the redactions and refiling of everything will likely cost Ripple about $250,000 in legal fees alone. Here's the judge's order. These documents, which include legal briefs, Rule 56.1 statements, declarations, and other exhibits submitted in connection with the parties' motions for summary judgment. This includes the Hinman deposition that was redacted. I didn't know that. I guarantee that conflicts of interest and gross appearances of impropriety will become more evident. Remember this. Ripple asked about the Hinman's prior connection or representation with Ethereum. Why should the SEC try to hide it? Then he goes on, but not just about the SEC. We finally get to see specific evidence offered versus Ripple. Ripple wanted to redact evidence linking Ripple's revenue with XRP sales offered to Coinbase and others to list XRP, So it's on both sides. anyway, he goes on, but there's going to be some juicy stuff in there, folks. Then Meta Lawman, who's also an attorney, he says the next 36 hours will be critical for crypto. Today, 5 p.m., Binance files its opposition to SEC's motion for order freezing assets at Binance. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., hearing on SEC's motion to freeze assets. Tomorrow sometime, release of summary judgment exhibits, including Hinman emails in the Ripple case. Then we had this. Bank of China's BOCI was the first tokenized security issuance by Chinese financial institution in Hong Kong. They did it on Ethereum. And I said, on Ethereum, you don't say, looking forward to those Hinman emails. That's a reference to Bill Hinman's ties to Alibaba. Then there's this. It's coming, folks. Listen to this clip right here. This is interesting from Mr. Huber.
You'll know ETH's sudden weakness could be due to concerns around what the Hinman documents will reveal. For reference, documents relating to former SEC Director Bill Hinman's 2018 speech about Ethereum will reportedly be made public this Tuesday. As reported by Decrypt, Bill's biography on the SEC's website was recently scrubbed. This has led to speculation that the regulator is getting ready to throw him under the bus. What the Hinman documents could mean for ETH itself is unknown, but it seems that Ethereum insiders aren't taking any chances. Some of you might remember seeing the news that the Ethereum Foundation had sold roughly $30 million worth of ETH back in May. What you may not know is that many of the ETH sales by the foundation have coincidentally occurred around local tops for ETH's price. As such, there's been lots of speculation that ETH's price is about to plummet. This speculation increased last week when on-chain analysts noticed that Ethereum co-founder Jeffrey Wilker had transferred over $40 million worth of ETH from his wallet to Kraken, presumably to sell it. This is more significant than you think, because when you have that amount of ETH, the more rational decision is arguably to stake it. To put things into perspective, staking $40 million worth of ETH would generate a passive income of roughly $3 million per year with ETH's current staking rewards. Not only that, but the transfer accounted for more than 10% of Jeffrey's total ETH holdings. This begs the question of why he would sell rather than stake. Only Jeffrey knows the answer, but common sense suggests that he has a very big expense coming up that will require massive amounts of dry powder. It seems that Jeffrey isn't alone either. If you've been watching whale movements on chain, you might have noticed that ETH whales have been sending large amounts of ETH to exchanges over the last few months. Again, transferring so much ETH to an exchange signals an intent to sell, not to hold. If you need any more evidence of this, look no further than the recent whale movements from Matic. As reported by CoinDesk, millions of dollars of Matic were sent to Coinbase and Binance moments before its price collapsed. Similar whale movements were seen for the other altcoins that collapsed last week. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that ETH is going to dump because of some black swan. It could simply be the smart money taking profits during the rally we've seen.
Could be. Mr. Huber says it's coming. Now, this was a clip from a couple days ago, Mike Novogratz, and I wanted to play this because it sounds like Mike Novogratz might know something. You know, he's made it very clear that he's an information guy. He likes to get information. He makes a reference here to seeing heroes become scoundrels. Listen to this.
Right, Vitalik is wildly important, even though he owns less than 1% of all the Ethereum. Right, as a symbolic head who's been...
I didn't know that, by the way. How does he know what percentages of Ethereum people own? Does Mike Novogratz know who the disguised whales are and what percentages they own?
Good guy who hasn't been like, if there's one hero of the space, it's probably Vitalik. He's wildly important. Joe Lubin was important to that Ethereum ecosystem, all the investments he did, building up the ecosystem, building up consensus. But they need more in each of these. And one of the things we're having now is when you see yesterday's heroes become scoundrels.
Yep.
It's not.
Can't wait to see those Hinman emails tomorrow.
So you need to see some new storytellers, some new ideas emerge to get the animal spirits going again, to draw people back into our systems.
How about some honesty instead? How about instead of some new storytellers, how about we ditch the stories and we just have some people that are honest, that are telling the truth and aren't hiding disguised whales, and we can have some transparency the way the most transparent company in all of crypto still, as I sit here, has been Ripple. Okay? And maybe Uphold, they're extremely transparent too. This is crazy what we've been living through. But this makes some sense. Warren Davidson looks like he wants to be a hero. Says, news today, I filed the SEC Stabilization Act to restructure the SEC and fire Gary Gensler. U.S. capital markets must be protected from a tyrannical chairman, including the current one. It's time for real reform and to fire Gary Gensler as chair of the SEC. This is a good start, but Warren, we don't need this just for the SEC. You're going to have to do the FBI, the DOJ, and every other corrupt organization that we have in this country now, because they all are. And that's the fact, Jack. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that we either have a country or we don't. And as I sit here right now, we don't. We live in a country where the bad guys get away with anything they want to, and the good guys are the ones they go after. And that can't stand if we still have the United States of America.